I don't know if you have a bigger monitor map. It kind of looks like a Florida plate. It's like a big orange in the center. Okay, deal. Yeah. Yeah, I heard shooting out of Newton, and then 77th started the pursuit. Okay, yeah. When I was going like northbound 110, they were talking about it coming out of Newton or something. But um, do you want to? I know it's not confirmed. Do you want to just stick with man with a gun? Okay. Okay. Thank you. Okay. Okay. Thanks. If you're joining us on KTLA.com, I'm Colton Von Pertz in Sky 5. We're just getting ready for our 10 p.m. broadcast, so you can watch it live here on the KTLA.com, our app, or Facebook Live, as well as on Channel 5. Share, that's right. We've seen it all the speeds and all the erratic driving. This pursuit starting just after 7 p.m. in the 77th Division of LAPD. Wanted as a man with a gun call, the LAPD 77th Division tried to stop this Chevy sedan you can see here, but that pursuit's led on quite the journey. They went through all of South LA, got on the 110 freeway, made its way all the way down to San Pedro, where the 110 freeway ends, and then turned around, came back northbound all the way up to the Universal Studio areas of the 101. This is the 10 freeway eastbound, coming up on the exit for Long Beach here in the Monterey Park area. You can see very low rates of speed, about 9 miles an hour. The LAPD has successfully done a spike strip on this vehicle finally. They had a few attempts that did go a little awry, but they got a good spike on at least that front driver's side tire, as well as maybe one in the back. And so the speeds have went from sometimes up to 90 miles an hour on surface streets and the freeway, down to what's 10 miles an hour here on the 10 freeway, just approaching or just through the 710. We're going to show you some video from earlier on the side streets, just weaving through traffic, cutting through the right and left lane. This driver has been very, very agitated and not really focusing on the road, reaching over into that passenger seat of the vehicle. From what we understand, that suspect is alone inside the vehicle, but they are very worried, as the suspect is wanted for having a weapon. So the LAPD is being very cautious in the tactics they use to stop this pursuit, and that's why we're going on hour 3 of this pursuit. Now, just listening over the police scanner, something interesting is happening in the background. So we have the dispatchers back at the communications center doing a whole bunch of work behind the scenes. You have the officers on the ground in the pursuit, the air unit over it calling it, as well as the dispatchers who are doing a bunch of resources, are doing a bunch of research and using their resources to find out more about the suspect and maybe what's going on. And what we just heard is they have the possible mother of the suspect on the phone. So they're going to try to see if they can use that to help bring this to the end. We've seen that suspect on the phone multiple times throughout this pursuit. This vehicle is not registered to the California area. That license plate looks like it's out of state, but LAPD still sticking with it nonetheless. This started just after 7 p.m. LAPD is stuck with the pursuit since the beginning. They have had the offer from CHP to take over, as this is more their jurisdiction, being on the freeway. However, LAPD said, hey, we've been with it. We know the want on this suspect, and we are going to take care of this pursuit. So they've made their way through the Southland. I'm going to pull out to a little bit of a wider shot for you and just show you the impact this is making on the freeways. They've done a traffic break to keep the general public away from this pursuit, just for their safety, and that traffic on the 10 freeway tonight goes back for miles. So it can be very frustrating for those drivers stuck behind that brake, but if you're ever in a break like that, just know it's for your safety. They want to keep you as a driver safe and away from the hazardous situation that is a pursuit like this with a man with a gun. So on the ground, those units are still in pursuit. They're figuring out what to do next, as well as a few steps ahead in terms of what happens when this pursuit ends. Do they need canines? Do they need SWAT team? Who in that pursuit package you see there is responsible for what? And that air unit is overhead calling out what's going on the ground, so that those officers in the pursuit can focus on driving. We are still going eastbound on the 10 freeway in the Alhambra area, as you can see through Skyview 5, coming up on Fremont Avenue, about 8 miles an hour. And we've just seen very erratic driving from 8 miles an hour up to 90 and then back right down. Really unsure of the state of this driver right now and what he's thinking or what's going on inside that vehicle. But LAPD, they're saying, hey, we want you for this suspected gun, and we're going to stick with you until this stops and we can take you into custody. So that's the latest over Alhambra. I'm going to send it back down to you. That's right. It looks erratic, like possibly wrestling with someone or something. What they've believed as they've looked through that windshield from the air unit overhead is that maybe he was trying to get something from under that passenger seat. So they're really worried about what that might be, especially with the concern of a weapon. And that's actually impacted a lot of the different techniques that the LAPD have decided to use and to not to use to bring this pursuit to a peaceful end. One of those things that we see often in pursuits is what's called a pursuit intervention technique, or a pit maneuver, where they will disable the vehicle by spinning it out of control. And in this situation, the commanders and supervisors over the pursuit at this point have deemed that too dangerous, because if that suspect does have a weapon, now that suspect, once that vehicle is spun around, is facing right at those officers. So right now they have the control of the freeway. You can see no other traffic involved. And LAPD has the resources to sort of leapfrog from unit to unit, so they don't run out of fuel, they don't run out of comfortable or fresh drivers, and they're just going to keep control of the situation and hope that this pursuit comes to an end, whether that's by the vehicle running out of gas, the suspect giving up peacefully, but they are ready for any situation, that's for sure. Like I said, they've talked about different plans depending on how this pursuit ends and what resources they need. They have the support from all the different agencies in the area. CHP is monitoring and ready just in case. Sheriffs have offered their support from the air or on the ground if necessary. And the saddest thing about this pursuit, with its low speed, is how it's impacting the traffic tonight for those innocent drivers just trying to get home after work or wherever they may be. But now we're moving over into that number 4 lane, out of the fast lane. We are still a bit away from any sort of off-ramp, so there's no way to deem that he may be trying to get off, but still 10 eastbound, coming up on Atlantic here soon, 10 miles an hour, which in all honesty is better than 100 miles an hour in terms of the safety for those on the ground. And you can see units passing by on the side. Unsure what that's for, if they're planning to stop traffic ahead or any other solution. But what they've already done is use spike strips to pop those tires, and what we're hoping is that that will help disable the vehicle, because once those tires are flat and they begin to lose that rubber, it becomes very, very difficult for that driver to maneuver the vehicle, as well as, depending on which tire, it can actually impede the powertrain of the vehicle and make it hard for the vehicle to actually move, possibly disabling it in that way, or disabling the engine if it has to work too hard to go at these speeds. So at this point, we haven't gotten over 12 miles an hour since we went on air at 10 o'clock, and that could be because the cars were trying to work harder to drive, and it just doesn't have the strength because it's digging into that softer concrete on the ground. I'm pushing them just a little bit. It's hard to see from this angle, and now we're hard on the brakes stopping here, but that front passenger side tire is flat. You can see it kind of flopping around there, and now we're speeding up again. And that's what we've been seeing all night with this erratic driving, from very, very slow, stopping hard on the brakes, to speeding off at one point, going from about this speed, 5-6 miles an hour, to 100 miles an hour in just a few seconds, and that air unit having to take over while those ground units try to keep up. But in all of this, the time is on the officer's side. They have the position advantage. You can see the car has now come to a stop. Doors of those LAPD officers are open. They're going to hide behind those doors and hold that position of advantage and take cover while they attempt to talk this suspect out of the vehicle. I'm going to just keep it a little bit wider of a shot, especially as the suspect may be armed. We don't want to show anything too graphic here on the news tonight, so we're going to just keep it a little wide until we understand what's going on. Hopefully that suspect comes out peacefully with his hands up and surrenders to those officers. But right now, if tonight's pursuit is any determination, this could be a very long standoff. But the LAPD has been prepping for this and what's going to happen. And now we're off again from stopped and all those officers out of the vehicle. That's the first time we've seen a full stop where officers have gotten out of their vehicles to now on the move again. You can see the LAPD airship overhead monitoring this from the sky, and relaying information about that suspect, upcoming traffic, upcoming opportunities to strategically end this pursuit, as well as calling out those streets for those supervisors on the ground, as well as back at the communication center, those watch commanders too, who are making the decisions on who's in the pursuit and what's to come next. Once again, stopping. And all we can ask for is that the suspect stop, but that doesn't seem to be the case. It just seems like he's trying to fake out those officers. And we got to believe that the suspect knows they're there. This pursuit's been going on 3 hours, and those lights and sirens are very noticeable in that amount of time. But we're in the Alhambra area. We might see sheriffs assist with this if it comes off the freeway. They are being notified, but very erratic movements. And from watching this, it seems like the suspect kind of slows down when he starts kind of making gestures in that car and moving around. You can see a lot of movement inside that vehicle, so it's almost as if he's forgetting about driving and focusing on whatever other task he has going on inside that vehicle. And then he remembers that he needs to drive, and he speeds off a little bit. And we're just really unsure of the state of that driver, what's going on inside. Whether, like you said, if is wrestling with someone that we just can't see, is he in some sort of other distress? We don't know. The dispatchers on the ground are doing their best to do that research by doing things like talking to potential family members, by figuring out who owns the vehicle and seeing if they can get a hold of the driver itself, if, say, the driver is the owner, trying to get a direct line of communication with that suspect in the vehicle to see what's going on and figure out if there's a way to peacefully end this in a timely manner. But for now, we are still eastbound 10 freeway, coming through Atlantic here in the Alhambra area, and we're just moving at this 10, 15 mile an hour pace with miles upon miles going back almost to LA County General Hospital here on the 10. But the best thing that the LAPD can do is get what is potentially dangerous suspect off the streets, and so that's what they're going to do by the means necessary to keep everyone safe, and we continue to see that here tonight. Thinking about those officers on the ground, it's very exhausting being in a pursuit. I can tell you from some experience working on a pursuit course that even just a few minutes in a pursuit takes all of an officer's attention and all of their energy to stay focused, stay hyper-vigilant, and make sure that they don't get involved in any accidents. And now 3 hours into a pursuit, that's a very long time to be kind of locked on that vehicle and sticking with it, even at high and low rates of speeds and that change. So what they do in those situations is they switch out units. When we first started this pursuit, we had a Ford Explorer, one of those bigger SUVs, as the primary unit, and now we have one of those older Ford Crown Victorias that is the primary unit you can see there. And so they're switching off for new, fresh eyes on the pursuit on the ground. We've had air units switch off as well because they needed to go get fuel, but there is no shortage of officers on the ground or in the air to successfully follow this suspect and bring this pursuit to a peaceful end, no matter how long it takes. So all we know is from looking at that front plate, which is a little hard here with the darkness and here from Sky 5, but it did look like it wasn't a California plate, and so that can cause some issues with finding the vehicle, especially with different DMVs and their different systems and things like that. But it's hard to say whether they have an idea of if this vehicle is related to someone in California. Say it's a rental vehicle or something like that. Usually they can track down the rental company and figure out who rented it and go that route. But in that same sense, if it is a dangerous suspect, letting him go and then just catching up later might not be the best plan because who knows what he's going to do next. But we did hear that possibly the dispatchers had someone claiming to be the mother of the suspect on the phone. So maybe either a family member saw the situation on TV and called into the police department, or they were able to do that research and figure out the connections and contact someone from the suspect's family to figure out what might be going on in that vehicle. Because throughout the pursuit, and we just saw it there just for a quick second, we've seen a phone flashing throughout the vehicle, and it's almost been like he's been dropping the phone and trying to pick it up, but there's been just a little bit too much of that for that being fully the case. So maybe he's in contact with someone on the outside, and maybe they're trying to get a hold of the police at this time. Now, I can tell you the dangers of this pursuit. It's a lot, like we were saying, Sharon and Micah, it's a lot safer here on the freeway than it is on the surface streets. We were watching that footage earlier of the suspect vehicle on those surface streets, making erratic movements, making erratic turns, going through parking lots. And a majority of the pursuit was also going through residential areas. And in the evenings, especially a nice evening like tonight here in Southern California, people might be out walking around, walking their dog or something like that, or going to the store in those parking lots. And this car just comes flying through those intersections, or through those intersections, through that parking lot at high rates of speed and very erratic. There's a lot of danger there. So if anything, this is the best controlled situation for this pursuit, especially one with such erratic driving. Even though we're at slow speeds right now, we're still seeing that erratic driving from stopping to speeding up to about 20 miles an hour to kind of in the sweet spot we've seen right now with about 10, 15 miles an hour. But this, like you were saying, Micah, all they can do is wait it out at this point, decide if there's any other tactics they can use, maybe another spike strip down the line, we don't know, to try to disable some more of the tires. We see definitely that driver's side tire is deflated, and it's hard to, I don't believe that passenger side tire is deflated. That rear tire looks like it's still holding strong. But now we're up to about 20 miles an hour here, eastbound 10, coming up on Del Mar Avenue in the Rosemead area as we continue eastbound. And that traffic, just looking out the window of Sky 5, Mike and Cher, still goes back for miles. But those drivers will be glad to hear when they get home and turn on the news that that was for their safety, even though it is so frustrating, especially after months of having clear freeways here in the Southland area while people stay at home and work from home and things like that. But LAPD is still working strong. We can see we've added a few more units to the pursuit. CHP is still monitoring. They've offered, hey, if you want us to take over, we know our freeways. We're really good at this, and we'll take the pursuit from here. But LAPD saying, nope, we're sticking to it. We've been in pursuit this long, and we're gonna take care of this. Currently. So now we're at Del Mar here in San Gabriel on the eastbound 10, kind of hugging that number 4 lane. We've seen a few times where the suspect's hugged a lane and then kind of gotten into that gore point, but it looks like it doesn't look like he's going to do that right now. We're just going to continue in this slow speed pursuit eastbound on the 10. Yeah, it's really hard to say. It's been on and off, and at some of the views we've been able to see him kind of flip between different apps, but the phone just goes away just like that. It looks like he's holding it up to his ear right now, so maybe he is indeed talking to someone and getting information about what's going on, or who knows, maybe he's calling the police department to talk to them directly. We don't know at this point. Um, in these situations, it's really hard to tell. And just something that I noticed just a few minutes ago is this pursuit's been going so long that it's actually kind of gained its own following, and that can be very, very dangerous, especially in a pursuit that involves weapons and things like that. We've actually seen people standing on overpasses, running along the freeway along the pursuit, and that is so, so dangerous. Because the police department is doing everything in their power to protect the public and keeping people away from this so they don't get hurt, and people are actually putting themselves in situations. So if this pursuit is in your area, stay home, turn on Channel 5, whether that's on the app or live on TV like tonight, and watch it from the safety of your home and talk about it there rather than going out and putting yourself in a potentially harmful situation. I just saw a few minutes ago people standing on an overpass, and even though that might feel safe, if that pursuit would have stopped right there and say, unfortunately, some gunfire was exchanged, you could be in the line of fire even 15, 20 feet over the pursuit termination. So it's a very dynamic situation, and there's a lot of different elements in terms of how these pursuits can end. Is it going to end peacefully? Are they going to have to use some sort of tactic to persuade that suspect out? Are they going to have to bring in the SWAT team? These are all things that the supervisors on the ground and back at the communication center, that watch commander, are debating and considering and finding the right resources, say they're needed. We heard earlier that they were bringing in units that had special shields just in case the pursuit started and they needed to approach the vehicle. So they are always thinking a few steps ahead, if not 10 steps ahead, being prepared, just as police officers try to do every day, and bring situations just like this to a peaceful resolution rather than anything worse. Now we're still continuing 10 eastbound through St. Gabriel Boulevard, still in the Rosemead area, and it's just 10 miles an hour. That's kind of the sweet spot we've been sitting at. It kind of looks like that speedometer's frozen, but it's not. It's just that's what we're sitting at, and that again could be because the tires are disabled. Or like we were talking about earlier, even before the spike strips on the 101, this pursuit's been ranging in this rate, and it's amazing how much ground has been traveled in this pursuit, starting in the South LA 77th Division, making its way all the way out to almost like Inglewood and the Culver City area, then down the 110 into Carson and into San Pedro, back north through Hollywood and downtown, and into the Universal Studios area of the San Fernando Valley, all the way out here to the east, now in Rosemead. Just an amazing amount of distance traveled for such low rates of speed, but with open freeways like this, that is doable, and with that erratic driving, which we're not seeing as much now, but throughout the pursuit, that is very much possible. You see LAPD still having their air unit overhead. That air unit was watching the suspect, watching the situation, relaying that information back to those units on the ground and back at the communication center, so those officers have the best information on what the suspect's doing inside the vehicle, any potential opportunities to say lay another spike strip, or say if a pit maneuver was authorized, a safe spot to do that, because they would hate to put anyone in danger or put any officers in danger by doing it at the wrong point. We've seen the pursuit go through construction zones where that air unit has warned the officers of those construction zones coming up so they can slow down and try to get the suspect to slow down so that there's no possible danger to those men and women working on our freeways, keeping them moving. But that's just, there's so many different dynamic elements going on with this pursuit. Looking out my window, Skyview or Sky 5, I'll just pull out a little bit. This is Walnut Grove Avenue you see here in Rosemead, and CHP or the Sheriff's Department, looks like LAPD actually has the on-ramp to the freeway closed to prevent any of the public from getting involved or getting close to this pursuit, because the last thing you want is doing is just like that, someone stopping on the side of the freeway to videotape it, to send to their friends, or being, the car in front of the pursuit, and then some sort of exchange of gunfire breaks out or anything like that. So they are now shutting down on-ramps to the freeway to keep the public safe. So if you're in the area and you're trying to get home this evening, the 10 might not be the best option, at least right now. Luckily, we have the 60 and the 210 that both go eastbound as well, and they're just a little bit out of the way. So if you're leaving here shortly, may want to consider that if you're in the San Gabriel or Rosemead area, as this pursuit by LAPD continues from the 77th Division all the way out here into Rosemead. It doesn't seem, Mike and Cher, like this is going to end anytime soon. But all they can ask for is that suspect say that's enough, I'm not getting away, which doesn't seem to be the case at this point, and surrender peacefully here on the 10 freeway. It's definitely not just the police department and a few cars behind the pursuit by any means. That's hundreds of drivers and passengers just trying to get somewhere, whether that's home or to work or something this evening. That this is affecting. It looks like we've stopped now here, so we're going to push in a little, and nope, back on the move, and that's what we've been seeing all night. But yeah, this is just like you said, Cher. The thing we're watching for is that end, and it's always such a big curiosity to us as well as the viewers at home, and how these are going to end, especially something that has been going on for such a long amount of time. Well, the good thing is at these slow speeds, it doesn't look like we're gonna see anyone get hurt in some sort of crash. But all we can do is hope that the suspect get out peacefully and give up. But even those officers get out of their vehicle thinking this is over and that they're going to be in more of a termination of the pursuit mode and calling out that suspect, and he moves on. And he's just playing, like you said, that cat and mouse game. Like, I'm over here, no, I'm over here. We're going to keep going. And the time is on the side of the officers. And like this is, they can switch out if someone gets tired or if they're running out of fuel. The suspect does not have that luxury, so it's only a matter of time. We will stick with it as it goes on, now up to about 20, 30 miles an hour. It's the fastest we've seen it since we came on the air at 10 o'clock and back down to 15. And that's just the game that this suspect's playing with the officers. And all in all, those officers just want this to end peacefully so they can go back to protecting their community. So not only are you affecting the probably hundreds, if not 1,000 cars on the freeway. Wow, just slammed on the brakes there. But you're affecting the area of 77th Division because you have units out of those areas. Of course, they're going to try to backfill that with divisions around it and bring officers in from other divisions in the area of 77th. But there's nothing like having the boots on the ground, the guys and the men and women on the ground who know the area best, patrolling the streets and keeping people safe. And so if they're over here in a pursuit, that kind of takes away from patrolling their community, even just in the slightest. LAPD does a great job of cross-training their different divisions on other divisions that they may be supporting or assisting. Honestly, this is way out of the LAPD territory. We're now in El Monte, which is sheriff's territory. So if anything, if this gets off the freeway, the LAPD is going to be a little out of their element, and they may have to ask for some support from an outlying agency who may have other techniques to in this pursuit. We don't know. but the pursuit nonetheless will continue as this continues eastbound here in the El Monte area. The map's a little bit off with the streets, but it should update here any second, but still very slow rates of speed. Headlights off, looks like, no, just the flashers were off. He's been turning his hazard lights on and off, but those headlights look a little bit dim, but that could just be the fact that there's no other vehicles or light on the freeway.